Amo, the president's gadget. Mm. Master, can I go ahead? A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The President of the South African National Taxi Council, Mr. Mutlabani Abnatsebe, the Public Relations Officer of the South African National Taxi Council nationally, Mr. Mandla Hermanes, the Deputy Chairperson nationally of the South African Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association, Mr. Sibongiseni Shange, the Chairperson of Santaco in Gauteng, Mr. Midday Mali, the Secretary of Santaco in Gauteng, Mr. Graham Fritz, the Secretary of the South African Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association, Mr. Eugene Wejana, business partners of Santaco present here, members of the media, fellow South Africans who are watching us from elsewhere, please do receive our humble greetings. Good morning. I am Machikidi Rebecca Pala. I head the communications department nationally of the South African National Taxi Council, where I also serve as the spokesperson nationally, and I will facilitate today's media briefing. From the protocol observed, you already have an idea who are some of the leaders that we have. Nonetheless, I will still introduce them individually for your ease of reference. I'll start on the extreme right for me, which would be the extreme left for those of you who are watching me. The gentleman with a white shirt and a purple highlight is Mr. Sibongiseni Shange. He is the National Deputy Chairperson of the South African Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association, shortened for SAMTIA, which is an affiliate of the South African National Taxi Council, Santaco. The gentleman next to him with a maroon or burgundy cap is Mr. Midday Mali. He is the chairperson of the South African National Taxi Council, Santaco in Gauteng. And then the gentleman with the black shirt is the National Public Relations Officer of Santaco, Mr. Mandla Hermanes. The gentleman sitting in the middle with a suit is the first citizen of the taxi industry, the president of Santaco, Mr. Mutlabani Abnatsebe. I believe you now know who we have in our midst. I've already also given credit to some of the leadership we have in the room, inclusive of both secretaries of SAMTIA and Santaco in Gauteng, and some of our business partners, inclusive of the partner that trains the taxi industry, the Transport Education Training Authority, also known as TITA. The head of Santaco's road safety campaign of Tlokomela, Mr. Bafana Makakula, is also with us. Some of you may have already seen him. For purposes of this briefing, you colleagues will interface with myself and the leaders that are sitting in front of you. And without any further ado, we've been interfacing with yourselves and members of the South African public on a number of platforms after the South African taxi industry came into the news following some of the developments that have happened in Maponya Mall, but also some of the reports that have been circulated on social media. And so in addition to the engagements that we've been having with you as members of the media, we felt it might be important for the leadership to come and speak to you without time limitations, to explain everything, but also to give you an opportunity to sufficiently interface with your questions. Those that are watching online, I believe we've got people watching on the official Santaco YouTube page. You're more than welcome to send through your questions there, especially for members of the media. We will take all the questions when it's time for questions. Now, to get us started, I'm going to ask the chairperson of Santaco in Gauteng, Mr. Midday Mali, to come give us an address from the perspective of the province at a time when we all know the incident of what happened at Maponya is an incident that happened in the province of Gauteng. Chairman?
President of Santaco, Mr. Apnatsebe, the national leadership of Santaco is here with us today. Some tier leadership who's with us here today. The fellow South Africans, members of the media who are here today, I will greet you all. As a chairperson of Santaco Gauteng, I step before you today under the weight of a painful truth that a horrific and senseless act of violence occurred in our province, in our sector, and the under circumstances that demand immediate accountability and reflection. Let me begin by extending, on behalf of Santaco Gauteng and all its industry affiliates, our deepest condolences to the family and the loved ones of the e-hailing driver whose life was cruelly taken in what can only be described as an indefensible act. That someone was brutally murdered in a vehicle in our community is something that should haunt all of us who claim to serve in the name of the public transport. We cannot and will not defend this. We cannot hide behind slogans, uniforms, and silence. There is no place in our province or in our industry for anyone who uses Santaco or the taxi industry for more broadly as a cover for criminality and the terror. We are aware that this happened in Soweto, a place that gave birth to some of our greatest expressions of our people's resilience and hope. And yet today, the name Maponya Mall is being spoken not for economic progress, but for the tragedy that has left an entire sector discredited and under a cloud. I say to the people of Soweto and to all commuters and transport stakeholders in Gauteng, we hear your anger. We share your pain, and we commit to decisively take an action. Santaco Gauteng is working closely with the law enforcement and our internal structures to assist where possible in investigations and ensure that those responsible are brought to book. This province has not been idle in its efforts to improve the taxi industry. We have significant steps to implement the resolutions of 2020 National Lekgotla, including conducting provincial endeavors in partnership with TITA to train drivers, operators, and marshals on our customer service and road safety. Launching campaigns across the key taxi rank, educate commuters on their rights, and to make public the channels for reporting harassment and abuse. Implementing the Hlokomela campaign, which seeks to promote safety, responsibility, and dignity within the taxi industry by addressing driver wellness, passenger care, road safety awareness, and prevention of gender-based violence and substance abuse. I must acknowledge that there is still much work ahead of us. The province has not been idle. We have taken deliberate steps to address the conduct of few who tarnish the reputation of the industry. This journey has not been without difficulty, tragically, and some have even lost their lives in the process. At some times, our fear or political caution, our associations have hesitated to take hold disciplinary steps that must end with immediate effect. Let me also address the growing concern. The reports that some of our patrollers and the marshals are coercing citizens not to use private cars, not to transport their own families, but to use taxis by force. This is unacceptable, unconstitutional, illegal. As Santaco, and especially Santaco Gauteng, we distance ourselves fully from practices. And we're currently reviewing all such report cases, to identify those possible. To every South African who has been harassed, threatened, and intimidated by someone claiming to act in the name of Santaco Gauteng, I say, you have every right to transport your transport of your choice, who work with us, and report criminality to the authorities. We understand the responsibility we have as well. I think that is very much important. People, they would say Santaco is not responsible. And we understand our responsibility as a sector, that we need to give service and protect the communities in our space. Work with us, I want to repeat, work with us to report this criminality to the authorities. We understand the responsibility we have as well to rebuild trust with you, guarantee your safety, and work restoring trust between ourselves and you. We are not all criminals. We are not all violent. The vast majority of our drivers wake up 3 a.m. in the morning to serve our people with dignity and respect. We ask for your partnership, your vigilance, your forgiveness. Definitely this one, we need to be forgiven as an industry. Because this, at this stage, is still the allegations. Then the law enforcement has to do a thorough investigation and come up with a report. Not to excuse wrongdoing, but to build a sector that is transparent, safe, and responsive. As I conclude, let me leave you with this. Rebuilding public trust in the industry is not just about press conference and speeches, it's about action. It is about what we do after this moment. We will work harder. We will work smarter. And most importantly, we will work with you, the public, to ensure that strategy become a turning point. Ndiyabulela, ke a leboha. I thank you.
Thank you. Of Santaco, which boasts a membership of e-hailing and meter taxi operators, the South African Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association, SAMTIA in short, which will be represented by the National Deputy Chairperson, Mr. Sibongiseni Shanga. Chairman, I'm told you are challenged in terms of height. And if you could just wait a bit for me, Eugene, if you can just check for me outside if Baba Makakula can't assist us, because we can't see. Can you see him? Or should we lower the mics? Might be a challenge, huh? Okay. Baba, if you can just assist, at least I've got heels on. Baba Shang is a bit of a boost. I don't know what we can
To
do.
help you. Put something. Are you able to come there?
Yeah. This way.
Smallpox.
Ha. It's fine. Oh. Otherwise, you must borrow me yours. President Tsebe, my PRO national, Mr. Hermanes, Santaco chairperson in Gauteng, Mr. Mali, distinguished guests, members of the media, colleagues in transport, and my fellow South Africans, good morning, Sanbonan. It is both a privilege and a moment of deep responsibility to address you today on behalf of SAMTIA, which is South African Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association, a proud, committed affiliate of Santaco. In my days before we joined Santaco, that was 4 years ago, we had a different perception about Santaco. That's why we understand the perception out there from the communities about Santaco. But when we got closer to Santaco, we learned that it's a school of transportation, it's a school of the taxi industry, whereby we were transformed and we were formalized. That's why we have South African Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association. South African Meter Taxi E-Hailing Association is doing some responsibilities in terms of transforming the industry. In a sense that after we have learned about the Lekgotla resolutions, we have taken upon ourselves to make sure that we transform ourselves by partnering with relevant stakeholders. Another stakeholder that I can mention today is a stakeholder that is with us today, which is TITA. Through TITA, we were able to train about 10 entities and formalize them and make them a business, and they comply. Those entities, as we speak today, they are running businesses based on a formula, based on systems, and they are different to the normal drivers. Over the years, it's been a decade now, you've realized that the industry has been fragmented and it has been distressed due to informality and due to non-compliant. But instead of us complaining and crying and being crying babies, we decided that we need to do something about it. Through the partnership, we are able to access other stakeholders in the industry to help us in terms of systems like fleet management system that is assisting us to identify and also to have a record of the people inside the vehicle, and also with cameras. So through those systems, we are able to run the business profitably. But I should say, it is a very challenging moment whereby now the industry is saturated in a way that the app companies, especially the overseas companies, are not actually taking accountability in as far as looking at supply and demand. So even though we have trained those 100 entities, we still have a challenge in as far as the resources are concerned. This is a global challenge in as far as these app companies are concerned. But from there, we have extended our footprint to other provinces. We have 7 formal provinces that are part of us now, namely Northwest, KZN, Free State, and Mpumalanga. We are calling upon all our brothers and sisters that are on e-hailing to come closer to us and to formalize and to make sure that we comply and to make sure that we are part and parcel of the Apex body, because of Apex body is channeling and advocating unity, transformation, professionalization, and also innovation. Through that innovation, we have welcomed the youth through the policy conference, we'll welcome the youth and to make sure that the organization become innovative. As I'm talking to you, I got my leader here who falls under youth. My secretary, Eugene Mojana, who is championing the tourism desk in Santaco. Through that tourism desk, we have realized that we're playing a very big role in domestic tourism. 80% of the domestic travelers are actually being transported by the industry. But all along, because of we have been working informally, we didn't realize that. We have partnered with tourism sector, and the tourism sector is willing to work with us and formalize us through realization that we can't do it alone. We need to have partnerships, and partnerships that are professional, and partnerships that are from the private sector. We are also partners with high-level education. Why high-level education? We're transporting students on daily basis. Millions of students that we are transporting. We want them to be part and parcel of the future mobility research so that we realize the change and we realize that the industry does not stand stagnant. We also have partnered with security companies, a security company that has been there for the longest time in terms of using the digital system from their end. You would know that we do have patrollers that are seem to be harassing the community. We want to change that around. We want the patrollers to look after the community through using systems in terms of response through crime or response through anything that's got to do with that is affecting our commuters at the rank at any given time through using the system. You will know that on e-hailing, we had many killings, we had many human trafficking, and we had many kidnappings, whereby we were depending on e-hailing companies to give us a SOS button to respond to such crimes. But by us partnering with a reputable a company that is going to provide us with systems, we have decided that we don't want to be confined by these app companies, but we also need to respond and to know who's in the picture and who's working with us. Through that partnership, we have established that we need to have systems like what you call a digital impempe that we're going to be launching anytime soon. Digital impempe is a digital system that will work on your phone, whereby you can, when in a space where you feel threatened, you can be able to press that button and communicate with anyone at any given time. As an operator, we will communicate with operators around you. We'll also communicate with patrollers as well. I'm indicating this to you because of through the whole week we have been talking about compliance, we have been talking about regulations, but we need to respond with what are we doing, Tina, to respond to the crisis that has been happening. Santaco is not just sitting, and is not just sitting complaining, but it's actually working behind the curtain in order to see ourselves transforming, to see ourselves being able to respond to the challenges of the industry. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sibongiseni Shange, speaking on behalf of an affiliate structure of Santaco, the South African Meter Taxi and E-Hailing Association. We will now, ladies and gentlemen, get an address by the President of Santaco, Mr. Motlhabane Abnatsebe. President.
I'm better than you, I thought. Yeah, thank you so much, colleagues. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And good morning, colleagues, members of the media, fellow South Africans, partners, our partners, Santaco partners, and the leadership of Santaco here with us, office manager and the Santaco spokesperson. I know it's a very sad this week. In fact, I was on leave. I had to come back because there's a crisis. The house is burning. We gather here today, colleagues, under very painful circumstances. Last week at Maponya Mall in Soweto, our nation witnessed an unspeakable act of violence. A young e-hailing driver, just 27 years old, a brother, still to be a father, and a breadwinner for that matter. I was listening to the sisters when he was talking on TV, and I was touched. Who was brutally attacked, his life taken in the most horrific way. And another driver was injured, vehicles were set alight, and the entire community was shaken to its core. To the family of this young man, I want to say from my heart, we are deeply sorry for your loss. Condolences. You entrusted your son to this country, to the promise of honest work, and that trust was betrayed by violence. We stand with you in your grief, and we also extend support to the injured and to every community member who was traumatized by what they witnessed. And we want to also confirm, we've seen family asking for support. As Santaco, we are ready to take care of the body in partnership with Teboletu, a funeral parlor. I've sent my team to talk to the family if they would give us that right to take the body from Gauteng to KZN and also to bury the body. All sponsors can take care of other stuff, like your catering and other stuff. So, colleagues, this is one sign that we are the engine behind the nation. Santaco cares. And we also spoke to some Soweto ministries because we need divine intervention in this regard. After the funeral and everything, we are sending a team to go to hospital to check on those that are still in hospital. And after that, we will do a prayer day or a prayer at Maponya Mall. And we've got support of the bishops and the ministries. I was talking to them this morning, and they are waiting for us. We still have to go and consult with the Maponya management to make sure that happens somewhere in September, because August is already gone. This strategy is not just a transport story, it is a human story. It is about life cut short. It is about families left broken. It is about communities that no longer feel safe in South Africa. As Santaco, we cannot remain silent. We condemn this violence in the strongest possible terms. It is inhuman, it is criminal, and it is unacceptable. We are saying zero tolerance for violence, as much as we've said GBV, but we cannot be coming with another direction of a pandemic that is troubling our nation for the whole of this week. Let me be absolutely clear today, colleagues, members of the media, that Santaco has a zero tolerance policy for violence. Any operator, driver, or member of our associations found to have been involved in this attack or any similar act of violence will be immediately expelled from our ranks. And this is just not a talk show. It's a promise that we are saying to our members, enough is enough. We cannot continue like this. Associations and as employees in the industry, we must be responsible. The leadership must take responsibility of actions that are happening in their space of operation. Their cases will be handled directly to the police, and as Santaco, we will support full prosecution and we will never defend or shield perpetrators. Violence is not a competition. Violence is not a conflict resolution. Violence is crime. And crime has no place in the taxi industry or anywhere in our South African community. Even during my inauguration as the president of this organization, we know that the perception from long time ago, taxi operators in terms of the violence, the so-called violence of killing, I said to them, this is not violence, it's criminal. It's criminality at its best, and we must assure our South African communities that, heartless as it is, Santaco and the whole taxi fraternity, we must admit this criminality that is committed by criminals in our name. We humbly ask for prayers from the community as we also facing the infiltration by criminals as we are cleaning up the industry. Someone said there's a lot that we are doing behind curtains and the future looks bright for this industry. The first week of September, we are just about to test the first of its kind, the cashless system in the taxi industry. And we've got what you call formalization in terms of forming companies, which our own Samtia has. There's 100 companies trained by TITA, and then all that was left was implementation. Now, we don't want to be seen like spaza shops. The history of spaza shops in South Africa, where the third force will try and distract and make us to lose focus. Law must deal harshly with these criminals, just like it does in other industries. Like we have bogus doctors, false pastors, fake police, and lawyers, and scammers in financial service. We also have criminals in the tax industry who are terrorizing the community, and we say they must be dealt with. And we are here to assist police when need. So you must remember, colleagues, that sometimes to discipline, you need law enforcement. When a criminal commits crime, he or she must be arrested. And we no longer even deal with the step aside. We will say immediately membership must be ceased. Because we cannot allow a situation where we create more orphans and more widows. That club is full. There's no longer membership for widows and caused by criminals in our space and in our name. We need to be accountable and we need to lead. We know that South Africans are very angry and disappointed. Many are asking and many are still saying we are bullying. Our members are bullied. And I was talking to my colleagues, what is happening on the space of provinces, regions, and associations? Why this bully always comes up? What is happening? And you've got these people that when fired by the taxi industry, they come up with their own association to discredit us and do things that obviously will discredit us as Santaco. So, if Santaco is the recognized leader of the taxi industry, why does this keep on happening? That's my question to my own members. This must stop, and it must stop now. And Soweto, I think that's where things start and stop. We will stop it in Soweto. We don't even want it to go and mushroom to other, because we've got challenges in airports, malls, you know, and all these areas. And now we cannot even talk about, someone might ask, you're talking about tourism, doing things like this. Because I asked myself, was that necessary? Because I was watching at the clip. And I said, can't be in my leadership? This is a fair and important question that we ask ourselves. Why does this keep happening? As the apex body of the taxi industry recognized, and we started with Santaco was formed somewhere in 2001, 20 years in existence, constitution not amended, policies, we've started policies this year. One of the things that we are doing is to make sure that we become a recognized structure to represent the entire taxi industry in South Africa. We are also into scholar transport. We've seen a letter from one of the associations threatening even the students. And I'm asking one person who says, Santaco says there must only be only the drive in a private car. Most I'm a man, I've got a family, I've got kids. If I say that, how am I going to do with my own kids? So it means me as a president, because this morning I took my kids to school, this morning. So it means I must, so it's me saying other people must not do it. It's highly impossible. It needs common sense. That we cannot do that because we are also part of the community. We are not from another planet, coming and dictating terms to other people not to live. We cannot change the scenario of South Africans to have a free choice in terms of choosing a mode of transport. We need to compete free and fairly so. That's our mission. The taxi industry has been doing it for quite some time. So I'm wondering, where does this demon come from? When you take a taxi and go into a funeral, you're from Pretoria to Soweto, you can't even be able to come into Soweto, being a taxi. So it is highly impossible. And we are working on these things because it troubles us as leadership to say, this can't keep on happening, and people on our behalf saying things that the communities are looking at us as if, no, something is wrong in our heads. We know exactly that we are South Africans, we are black South Africans, and we are in business. As much as, sometimes I was saying, regulations, fine, regulations, the ministry or the MEC or operating license. But if that is a challenge, why not bring it up so that we can be able to address, not go and kill and ban. How do you solve a problem whereas you create another problem? And we are saying dearly to our members, you stop this. It has to stop. And it has to stop now. And someone might ask, we've got so many, we've been engaging. We even engaged the Ministry of Police to say, now it's enough, people must be arrested so that we can show that we are very serious on this. As the apex body, there was a recognition through the 2020 National Taxi Lekgotla. There were a number of issues raised, the subsidization, professionalization, formalization, and so on and so on. We cannot pretend that incidents of violence have nothing to do with us. And we are saying, at the Lekgotla resolution, that's why you see the Samtia here. You've got your cross borders, a lot of challenges. And if we can talk about these challenges, we can, but we cannot always react on violence when we want to solve issues. And sometimes these things, they just go out of hand. Anyone can say anything, and it will go very bad. And it's very bad for us to be here today and talking about what happened, because we cannot, there's no excuse about it. We cannot pretend that violence have nothing to do with us. But when the public sees violence in the taxi space, they see the entire industry, and by extension, Santaco. And I've mentioned churches, the banking sector. You've got most fake lawyers, but that does not mean if you've got a fake past, we must no longer go to church. It can't be. So this is one of the examples. And I was saying to Pastor this morning that Lucifer was one of God's favorite disciple, Lucifer. But he became devil. And someone said, but God, because he's a forgiving God, why he did not forgive Lucifer? It's because Lucifer never asked for forgiveness. So Santaco is coming forward to say, forgive us. We are working on this. And we want divine intervention. God is not a sleeping God. He will always listen. Someday, we'll get an answer. Who's behind this? If it's a third force, we want to see him, because we will never vanish, as Pastor Shop says. It has happened to Spaza Shop. We've learned our lesson. We know. We are in South Africa. Let me also address a matter of ongoing confusion about Santaco's role. 2020 National Taxi Quota as an apex body, of course. And someone who might be surprised why Santaco, and because we are an apex body, we are a council, we are not an association, but we've got affiliates. We, Santaco, we are also affiliates to the Black Business Council. So we've got, in terms of escalation, we are able to go further if things don't go well in terms of business engagement. So there's no need for us to fight and kill and ban. There's no need. And we are saying to our members and leadership and to the police, affected areas and associations must account to these killings. We cannot always be coming and talking and blaming, pointing fingers and think nothing is happening. Someone has died. And someone will die tomorrow. So we have to address this. So a historic gathering of government, which is the 2020 Lekgotla and the taxi industry, it was resolved that all operators within the public transport sector must converge under structured representation with affiliation to Santaco as the apex body. This was not a unilateral declaration. It was a joint commitment to build a formalized and a regulated, professional and inclusive industry that better serves our people. Fellow South Africans, the community of South Africa and the taxi operators, we embrace this responsibility, but we cannot do it alone. Tackling violence and transforming the industry requires collective effort. Government, law enforcement, communities, and the taxi industry working together. Because I normally tell people, if you've done that, then it means the one who does that, what happened in Maponya, was moving very fast. If you want to move fast, walk alone. If you want to walk far, far into the future, let's hold hands. And we will show the enemy that, no, this is not your time. Santaco is here to represent. So, we are saying, only through this partnership can we rebuild public trust and deliver the safe, reliable, and dignified transport system that South Africans deserve. It's only in the taxi industry, because there are good things that we are doing. If someone in the rank from Polokwane wants to come to Pretoria, and someone, they marked him and have taken the money, you know they always come to the taxis. We do give some free rides for those that are in need at that time. Yeah, most of the people, you can go, you cannot get into Gautrain for free, even if you lost money. So, I mean, I don't know, these people, our members, they are afraid to compete. We are strong, we know that we've got our weaknesses, but also we've got our strong. Our SWOT analysis is clear. We do have the strong, we've got the weaknesses, and we've got opportunities. And of course, we've got the threats. And this is the threat that we are creating on our own, self-hatred, to kill and not protect our communities. That can happen. That is why today I want to say clearly, we take full responsibility for ensuring that violence is rooted out of this industry. We have made progress over the years, but clearly the fight is not over. This tragedy is a call to intensify our work. We will not rest until discipline, safety, and professionalism are the standard across our industry. Transformation agenda at the 2020 Lekgotla resolution, followed by our inaugural 2024 policy conference, we adopted a comprehensive transformation agenda built on key pillars, that is formalization and regulation of the taxi industry, economic empowerment and broad-based ownership, professionalization and improved customer service, technology and innovation, and establishment of a regular strengthened labor relations, sustainable funding models, and inclusivity. The inclusivity program, I think, is coming closer. I think by the 1st of October, Transport Month, we'll be doing a program in a route between Pretoria and Johannesburg, I think, after the test for, or after the launch of the cashless system. So there's a lot that Santaco is doing. So we are in partnership with the Transport Education and Training Authority. I've been to Singapore. I've seen how taxis operate. You know, in Singapore, a professional taxi driver starts with the class before he becomes a driver. So Santaco, we've created what you call a Santaco recruitment agents, fully registered. We are just waiting for funding. Now, we need to clean it up, because once we clean it up, we cannot be harsh because we don't. Hence, I'm saying, if you want to walk faster, walk alone. So we are sure, exactly, we've got a plan, like government is having plans. We've got your 20, we've got your short-term and long-term. You know, it's not about me becoming a president and tomorrow I'm no longer the president, they start afresh. So we need progress in terms of succession plan. Whoever takes over must follow up and do exactly the process of making sure that we've got professional drivers. Because taxi drivers must be professionals. Because in some instances, this thing, we lost it somewhere, we dropped the ball. And we must agree that now we need to start picking up the pieces and making sure that Tita becomes it's already, Tita is here with us. I think they are part of us. For example, they equipped taxi operators with essential business acumen, and we've got Toyota, which is in partnership with the University of Pretoria, and there's a lot of graduates that have graduated from the taxi sector. But you know, once people, they graduate, they go for greener pastures, then you can't keep them and say, we cannot stop commuters, whilst we cannot even stop our own graduates. When they graduate, and some they come into your space, be it media or be it transport, but we are trying to own up this sector to say, now let's see how best. Now we are busy with the University of Johannesburg as well, through the influence of Samtia. We are engaging thoroughly so that we can be seeing this industry having women drivers, if not 30%, at least at the most. The Lakota resolution resolved that in leadership roles, we need to give 30% to women leadership. It's just unfortunate that today I tried to get women to be here with us, but unfortunately it was very late. You know, Mama, they've got duties when they wake up in the morning already. When you tell him 6 o'clock in the morning, it's not like me. She already, they've got engagement, so apologies for that. But this is one of the things, colleagues, that the taxi industry is working on. And we are saying, our road is long, but we are focused. We'll never, and we'll never lose focus, even if they are trying to derail us, but we will keep on fighting until our members listen to us. It's very difficult to have more than 300,000 members that you are running, and you think that when you talk, they will listen at the same time. So some, they don't even listen to us. But dear members, the background to the conflict, now that I have given you the inner workings Santaco as a taxi council, I will now get to the crux of the matter at hand. The Competition Commission Provision Report on e-hailing as a taxi council. E-hailing and meter taxi 2020 highlights several systematic issues that have contributed to tension between traditional operators and e-hailing platforms. Key amongst these are uneven regulation and enforcement. While both e-hailing and meter taxis are subject to licensing under National Land Transport Act, poor enforcement has resulted in an uneven playing field. An estimated 79% of e-hailing operators operate without valid licenses. It's another matter, and say it's not an excuse that people must burn cars and shoot and kill. No, it's not, can't be. Pricing and area restrictions. Meter taxis face rigid area restrictions, leading to higher operational costs, while e-hailing operators enabled by digital platforms operate across municipal boundaries, your intermetros, and obviously some they are even interprovincial. This has intensified perception of unfair competition. And safety concerns and no-go zones, you've seen on the news, you always have our sisters raped and this, because, you know, there's a number of challenges that we have. So someone to get transported but not even be sure that I'm safe, and which we want to address from both the e-hailing sector and the minibus sector as well. So, safety and concern. The Commission noted that the conflict has heightened safety concerns of passengers and drivers, with certain areas becoming unsafe and inaccessible for e-hailing services. These findings confirms that structural and regulatory weaknesses rather than individual operators are at the root of the conflict. We acknowledge that weak enforcement contributes to tensions, but weak enforcement is no excuse for violence. I was asking one member and say, why, can you give me a brief of what is the problem in Soweto? He was saying there's 3 groups. You've got local Soweto guys, then you've got the hostel, and you've got the Nigerians, they call them that. So you've got 3. So I said, do you think this is internal? possibly so. And then I said, now, okay, the minibus, and you could see that, no, something is just not right. They themselves now, they've got their own issues. And you might find that internally, so that thing that you call manpower, you go and pick at this one to come and assist you to fight this one. So this is something that we need to address, and address very harshly, because we don't want this kind of behavior in our space. And someone, when I was coming here, I think it was Power FM, they were talking about the statements that are coming out and so on. But there's a number of media perception, especially when it comes to tech, because where we come from, of course, we are dirty, that we are dirty, and we are cleaning it up. And we are almost certain percentage done now. We are moving. And even if someone cannot see us, but we are moving. These findings confirm that we need structural and regulatory weaknesses are there, rather than individual operators are at the root of the conflict. You've got 100 companies registered. We need to follow that up. We acknowledge that weak enforcement contributes to tensions, but weak enforcement is no excuse for violence. And you know, you go to Mamelodi, you go to Tembisa, you go to Vosloorus, you go to KZN in Akwamashu, you've got what you call a Mapela. And at some stage, you've got in Olivenwood Bosch, you've got these Mapelas, and some of the quantums, that 7-seaters, belonging to an association, a local association in that area. You get into other space, which, you know, someone was showing me the finding of the movement in Barra, just the movement. It's equals to OR Tambo and Cape Town, what do you call the airport in Cape Town, combined, the movement in Barra. So it can tell you that Soweto is big. We have to make sure that this thing, we don't lose it to get out of Soweto, because else we might have trouble. So that's why I'm here, and then also taking this into cognizance that there's no excuse about what happens. Tensions in the industry, but not excuse for violence. We must also be honest. Tension exists within public transport. It happens. Sometimes you find out, you wake up in the morning, buses are stopped in what do you call in Mpumalanga, Limpopo, somewhere in Marapian. Stopped, literally, with full loads, going to work in the morning. And these people are using quantums to stop bus. Hey, man, how do you stop a bus? Are you able to ferry Lo Mama or Yema Kishin that earns only daily, he works once a week, you stop the bus? You're creating job losses. But we've got a space. We are engaging Saboa and other structures of the buses. How can we work and have a collaboration? As Santaco, we are saying, let's have an open strategy to talk to other stakeholders in transport sector, not fight and stop and close roads, kill, ban. We can't. Minibus and midi taxis, meter taxis, e-hailing services, cross-border operators and scholar transport, all of these sectors serve 18 million of South Africans every day. Sometimes competition over routes, customers, or operating space creates conflicts. You know the history of the taxi industry. Always when there's a conflict, they kill each other. You ask, what is the problem? Route. How route? Now that one is now you're starting another one. We cannot allow this to come back. There is also a new trend of criminal elements where criminals hide behind the name of the taxi industry to commit heinous crimes such as kidnapping, killings, extortion, drugs, violence in all forms of, the list is endless. These criminals do not represent us. They do not represent the taxi industry. This is sadly the country we live in where crime has become rife. But let me state clearly, no tension, no dispute, and no frustration can ever justify killing or threatening another person. There is no justification for what happened at Maponya Mall or everywhere else in the country, none. An immediate intervention at Maponya Mall is needed. In the days after this strategy, we worked with the industry leadership, Gauteng provincial government, e-hailing representatives, mall management, and community leaders to calm the situation. And we are still going to go out and make sure that we visit those families and go to hospitals and make sure that we take over what we've started to bury that body that was burnt. I want to acknowledge the leadership of MEC Kediboni Diale-Tlhabela, who convened agent talks that produce concrete solutions. We are here to support any move that will bring stability in Soweto. Together, we agreed on the following measures: justice for the victim, Police have committed to prioritizing this case using available CCTV footage and community information to track down and arrest those responsible. Justice must be swift. Shared access. All transport operators, taxis, e-hailing, and meter taxis will have equal access to operate inside the Maponya Mall transport facility. There will be no go zones. Security at the mall will be strengthened with visible policing and coordination between SAPS, JMPD, and private security so that shoppers, drivers, and passengers feel safe. And licensing help desk, we will urge the province to have a temporary government office to be set up near the mall to fast-track licenses, operating permits, and registrations for both taxis and e-hailing operators. This will help end the accusation of illegal operators that fuel conflict. Zero intimidation. All parties agreed that no operator or passenger will be intimidated, threatened, or harassed. Any such incident will trigger immediate law enforcement action. Leadership, members of the media, personally, I'm going to visit Maponya Transport Hub with provincial leaders to speak directly to drivers and commuters. We explained these commitments and called for calm. Since then, the mall, I think, has reopened, and for now, peace has been restored. But we know peace must be built on more than promises. It must be built on trust and enforcement. Long-term solution across the sector. This incident is part of a bigger picture. That is why Santaco is intensifying its work across all transport modes. Mini, bus, and midi buses. We are tightening our codes of conduct, expanding training programs, and disciplinary and members who breaks the law. The e-hailing. We are engaging directly with the e-hailing platforms and associations to ensure drivers can operate safely. We support updated regulations for e-hailing so that everyone competes on a fair and legal basis. And we are also dealing with the strategic alignment of these sectors. The meter taxis and the e-hailing is one and the same thing. I've learned a lesson of that. I did not know e-hailing, meter taxi stroke e-hailing. We are facilitating cooperation between meter taxi operators and other modes, especially at malls, airports, and hotels where competition is sharpest. Cross-border, we are coordinating with cross-border operators to reduce disputes and ensure compliance with cross-border transport rules. On this one, I also had a challenge. I said with the cross-border operators, the route, the corridor to Zimbabwe, it's got more than 400 buses, big buses. Only one taxi loads from Johannesburg to Maputo a day, but it's more than 50 buses loading every day. And I asked the reason why. A bus from here to Zimbabwe is 250 rand per person. It's not even a price of a taxi from Johannesburg to Limpopo. So they wanted and said, no, let's engage. So we're engaging on this one. So this is one of the examples that our affiliates, when they come forward, we will engage. You tell us where to engage, we'll go directly. Not go and bend bridges, and when we come here, there's communities are not safe, the South Africans are not safe at all. And the scholar transport as well. We are working with schools, parents, and government to ensure children's safety. Vehicles must be roadworthy, drivers trained, and violence kept far away from our children's journey. I think this letter from this one, I condemn the KZN letter. Say no, you can't get into that space. Now you want to go and kill the future again now. You've already killed another future. 27 years, a father, a brother, a breadwinner. Now you're going to schools. No, we cannot allow. Even if there is something is going wrong, let's say for an argument's sake, something is going wrong, we are saying no, we don't touch the schools. We'll engage with the schools. We'll give instructions to our provinces, to our regions, to our associations. Because most of members who are providing scholar transport are taxi operators. So we don't want to take this violence to schools, please. We must be loud and clear on that one. And we know that vehicles must be roadworthy. We've seen the last one, the bust in Mpumalanga, and the one in Western Gauteng where kids were banned in a scholar. Yeah, this is a scholar transport. We are looking at these things and we want to end. These are not just abstract commitments. They are part of Santaco's responsibility as the apex body to bring the entire industry under a culture of discipline, professionalism, and peace. Santaco's position today, we condemn all forms of violence, all. Disputes over market share, licensing, or pricing cannot and must not be resolved through intimidation or killings or banning. Our priority is to protect passengers, drivers, and the broader industry. We call on government and all stakeholders to engage, implement the Competition Commission's recommendation, including the removal of rigid area restrictions, except in exceptional cases such as airports, the expedited processing of operating license to eliminate backlogs and reduce illegal operations, the creation of a specialized SAPS unit to deal with public transport-related violence and safety enforcement. To the public and our commuters, I want to speak directly to 16 million plus of South Africans who use our services every day. You have the right to choose how you travel, whether by private car, e-hailing, meter taxi, bus or train, or the taxi. You've got a choice. Only the thing that you must do is to make sure that you are safe. And we are saying to our operators, let's guarantee our users to make sure that safety is our concern. So colleagues and members of the media, the choice must always be respected. No commuter should ever be told what service to use or be punished for their choice. Your safety is our priority. Just now the chairperson showed me a vehicle stopped with a pregnant woman in it. It was stopped. I think the woman was just terrified, then he gave birth. It can't be. Now we are pushing now even pregnancy to give birth before even a birth. No. I don't know who's this guy. I'm asking myself, I know this is the demon. We can't believe. Now, I'm talking about now. He was showing me the clip. Because now they are taking advantage of the social media platforms that are saying, hey, taxi, and everybody can come and be a criminal in our name. It can't be. That's why we're coming open and saying, no, not in our name. It can't be. No commuter should ever be told what service to use or be punished for their choice. Your safety is our priority. That woman, we ask ourselves, whose woman is this? Because he might be a wife to someone, or maybe even to one of us here. We cannot allow that situation. Many of us South Africans are where we are, having started with the taxi journey. This country is where it is started with the taxi industry. Our freedom, we achieve freedom using taxis to cross, for some to go to exile, using taxis. We cannot turn and become enemies to our own country. That is a history that can never be erased. It is a history that should not be distorted. We also know that incidents like this make many of you fear taxis. It's a fact. I understand that fear. I myself was once a commuter, a taxi driver, and today, taxi owner and also the president of this big organization. But I want to assure you, the vast majority of taxi operators, 200,000 strong, and drivers, approximately 300,000 strong, are decent, hardworking people who simply want to provide for their families by transporting 16 million strong safely to your destination, which sometimes, I'll give you an example, the route between Johannesburg, I know you know that conflict between the big bosses of the taxi industry, between the Johannesburg route and Pretoria. We stopped it as Santaco because drivers were shot every day, 2, 3. That's why do you kill drivers, can? Because these people are here just to work. And then you start a fight, you go and hide in suburbs. And the poor drivers must be compromised. We said no. And that violence, you can go and ask. You can go to MTN Taxi Rank and ask. They will tell you. We were able now to address another one in Cape Town. It's not that we are doing nothing. There's Maponya one will be addressed. I can promise you now. We will come back and tell you exactly. To every South African who has ever been harassed, intimidated, or wronged by someone acting in the name of the taxi industry, I say, we are very much sorry. We are sorry. We are not perfect, but we are committed to doing better and rectify what we've started. We plead with you, do not give up on the taxi industry, despite its flaws. It remains the backbone of mobility for millions. Work with us, and we reform and we rebuild. To our members, finally, to my fellow operators, drivers, and employees, this is a turning point. We have fought for decades to build recognition and respect for the taxi industry. We cannot throw that away through acts of lawlessness. If you choose violence, you choose to leave the industry. Choose to leave industry. There's no more space for the violence. If you choose intimidation, you must choose to leave the industry. There will be no protection, no excuse. But if you choose professionalism, respect, and peaceful services, then you are part of building a stronger future for our industry and for South Africa. In conclusion, this young man's life should not have been lost. His death must not be in vain. Let it mark the line where we, as an industry, say, never again. We honor him and we honor every commuter who depends on us by choosing peace, by enforcing discipline, and by working together across all modes of transport. There is important work already underway in our industry, work that is meaningful, impactful, and transformative, even if it does not always make the headlines. Let this strategy be the turning point where we convert pain into progress and where the taxi industry demonstrates that it can be safe, professional, and respected. I urge all members of the media, let's report responsibly, because this is very sensitive. So, do not generalize criminal acts as a taxi industry. We don't own criminals. We own businesses. Criminals are not our industry. Words shape public perception. Whatever we are saying, it shapes the public perception, and public perception shapes peace. If we talk peace, our members of the public will be able to do that. We ask you to help the nation distinguish between criminal elements and the legitimate, law-abiding taxi industry and fellow South Africans that carries millions of South Africans every day. Santaco is ready to lead this change with government, with our affiliates, the media, private sector, with the communities we serve. We will not rest until public transport in South Africa is safe, fair, and free of violence. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the address of the President of Santaco, Mr. Motlhabane Abnatsebe, to whom we appreciate the commitment to offer support to the family of the 27-year-old Siyanda Mthokozisi Mvelase. And we want to reiterate that we'll be reaching out to the family. I'll ask the Public Relations Officer, Mr. Hermanes, to please come and give us a summary, essentially, of the sentiment as expressed by the Council today. Immediately after that, we'll take your questions. For the colleagues that already have to do crossovers, please just drop me a text so that we can arrange as the PRO is speaking.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, President. I think what is clear from the presentations from Samtia, from Gauteng, Santaco Gauteng, Mr. Mali, and our national president, Mr. Tsebe, is that we want to distance ourselves from the criminal elements that are within the transport space, especially e-hailing, metered taxis, and the minibus taxi industry. And we want the media, the public, to assist us in communicating that message. Secondly, there's a whole lot of work that is happening behind the scenes to try and transform the minibus taxi industry, to professionalize it, and we are hopeful that that transformative process will yield results that will result in a peaceful minibus taxi industry. And also what is clear is that as the Santaco, our livelihoods actually depend on there being peace within our space, because peace or violence chases away our customers. It takes us a step back as we try and move with the times. We cannot be acting as if we are in 1985 when within the taxi industry it was the survival of the fittest. So those things are very clear, And also what is clear is that we will support the family of Ubabum Velase. And we are not proud to do that because he should not have died in the first place. But we have to own up as the minibus taxi industry and right our wrongs. And also, lastly, this is not going to be just a media conference and then we go back to business as usual. We have taken steps. The president will visit the Maponya Mall. We will engage with operators who operate in that rank. We will engage with the community of Soweto. And this message will be cascaded down to all the provinces and all the regions and all the primary associations so that we can deal with these letters that we see via social media that an association in Pietermaritzburg is threatening scholar transport providers or threatening educators, saying when you go to school, don't give lifts to school kids. So we want the message to go down to the operator on the ground. So we are going to embark on that. And then also there's a need for greater collaboration between Santaco and law enforcement and government, because some of these things, they need SEPs to up their game. People cannot kill with impunity because there are no arrests, no consequences. You know, one of the things that will assist us in dealing with the violence, it's when you kill someone within the industry, there is a high probability that you will be arrested and convicted. If there isn't that, then the incentive is there for people to think they can act with impunity and there will be no consequences for their action. And then also from our side, regulations that would allow Santaco to actually take steps, punitive steps against associations who are caught in criminal activity or members within associations, because sometimes the individuals, the criminal individuals within associations are so fearful or fearless that even the association itself just capitulate. They can't do anything to these guys. So something must happen at national level so that Santaco can stamp their ground and say, this is our responsibility, public transport is our responsibility, and our livelihoods are dependent on it. Thank you.
Thank you, PRO. The colleagues working on the sound, please help me by standing ready with the roving mic. Colleagues, thank you very much for having listened through. It's now time for you to pose your questions. By show of hands, please do that. For the colleagues that are following the proceedings online, we've got over 240 colleagues of media in the WhatsApp group of Santaco. All of them have my number. If they can please just direct their questions to me, we'll take it from there. Griselda, I'll start with you. The colleague with the white at the back, Gianni, and then I'll come to you, and then I'll take you. That'll be the first round, and then I'll come for another round. You may go ahead, colleagues.
Good afternoon to the leadership of Santaco and everyone in attendance here this afternoon. I'm Griselda Lewis from SABC Television News. Perhaps my question should be directed towards you, President. Given the fact that the violence that was seen in Maponya last week was nothing new, the pockets of intimidation that residents have often spoken about, have led to that community living in fear. And it's not just Maponya, because unfortunately there emerged then the dead body of an e-hailing driver. But the concerns that were raised were about many other malls where the very same treatment is being used, where the allegation is being made is that taxi drivers simply do not want e-hailing drivers to operate from certain areas. If you want to get on e-hailing transport, you'd have to walk a certain distance away from where the taxi would feels they should be boarding some of the people who want to go in there. This violence has been happening in Maponya for years now. And perhaps you say behind the scenes, something has happened. But for the general public, nothing has happened. Somebody else has died. 2 other people are injured. And the sense that we get from the community in Maponya is that they're even too afraid to go to the mall. There are no-go areas. We know about the situation in Pretoria. There are some e-hailing drivers that cannot operate in Pretoria. And then what happens is that if an e-hailing driver operates in Pretoria, your taxi is stopped, you are paid a fine. You must pay a fine. Even in Tembisa, you must pay a fine in order for your car to be released, because they will ask you, when's Anlana? So there are no-go areas in South Africa. And I get the sense also from South Africans that they're upset. It's good to hear you, President, speak about the fact that you say that each and every one should have the opportunity to get on whatever mode of transport that they want. But what have you done about these rogue elements within your structures? Okay. How many people have been suspended? How many people have been taken to task? Okay. Because ultimately, these are individuals that sit under you as an umbrella body. If they are a law unto themselves and their own associations and you are not able to deal with those aspects, that also falls on you, not having to be able to deal with the association itself. Because what is clearly demonstrated at this point, President, is a community that is living in fear. At what point do you reach in South Africa where you cannot even get on a taxi or choose with your money what you want to do with it? It's like forcing me to buy a loaf of bread, yet I need to buy milk because I need milk this evening. Okay. It doesn't make any sense.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move to the back.
Veronica Mahwadi here from Newsroom Africa. Speaking to my colleague's point, specifically where she says that this harassment and what we've seen playing out at Maponya Mall is nothing new. We hear you, President, we hear you, Chairman, speaking about the fact that you want South Africans to take you in confidence, but why should South Africans believe you now that Santaco is serious about ending the type of violence and the criminality that we've seen happening? It also brings me to the issue about barring ordinary citizens from picking up relatives, picking up friends, colleagues on the road, being told that they cannot, essentially have lift clubs in public roads that are open to all South Africans. I believe that if we didn't have the kind of access we do now to cell phones, to footage and videos being circulated as quickly as they do, we wouldn't be sitting in this room, because again, that is nothing new. It's been going on for a very, very long time. And I think also just, where do citizens get help? You say they should report to the authorities, but if I'm a person who's intimidated by a taxi operator, what are the channels that I can use to report the ordeal that just took place? Where do I go to say, look, this has happened, I need someone to be held accountable? Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. Let's move to Kiani. Colleagues, I appreciate the patience and the vigor with which we want to ask the questions, but I would ask that we keep it as brief as possible so that the leadership also knows which one is a question and which is a comment. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, President, and your colleagues. Mine is just to find out from you, as the PRO has rightly said, that you would like to work with law enforcement agencies to have the situation in Soweto under control. I'm sure, President, you will remember that the Commission of Inquiry into Political Killings, into taxi violence, recently or previously found that among law enforcement officers, there are those who are taxi owners. Now, I want to find out from you as to, I'm sure you are aware of that, those findings. How would you expect some of those law enforcement agency officials to work hard to stop the violence, while on the other hand, they are alleged to be taxi owners?
Please just also indicate the media house you're from.
I'm from Taxi Guardian magazine.
Thank you. Okay, you can.
And the last one, just quick one.
Cool. Please keep it brief.
Soweto is a complex area, as you rightly pointed out. And you know there are structures. Your UTAF, your Soweto taxi services. I just want to find out if you have been in contact with them, just to make sure that you are dealing with the situation equally as the apex body of the taxi industry, Santaco. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The colleague just in front here, Ngobi, Kian, if you can just pass it here. Thank you.
Can I please not stand?
Yeah, go ahead.
Not out of respect.
Yeah, go ahead.
Dumela. My name is Hemen Moloi from Sowetan newspaper. So the burning question have been asked by Griselda and Uvero. So I'll just like to add on those, looking at Ubaba Shangi. Bab Shangi, you spoke about a digital impembe. So how far is that process? Where are we? And then to Santaco, is there anything or any proposal that you have made to a government to try regulate e-hailing services? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gentleman at the back.
Thank you so much. My name is Khaorelo Magolero from UFM. President, there's this practice of patrolling, so they say, when they are manning the roads. Is this a practice that you have sanctioned, and how does it work? What exactly are they patrolling, and under which legal provision are they doing so? And equally, just explain the finding, because they'll say, no, you must pay a fine, which to me appears to be a thumbsucked figure that whoever would have cornered you on the road giving a lift to a friend would come up with. And as Santaco, would you say that your word is final on these affairs? Because just on the aftermath of the incident there at Mapolo Nyamol, we spoke to the National Taxi Alliance, and they flatly denied that that incident had anything to do with taxi operators. So I'm just trying to check whether we would not have a situation where you come here and speak and other operators say, no, those ones don't represent us. Just how far does your authority go as an organization?
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we'll do a second round of the questions. Ngobi, if you can take the microphone to the leadership so that they can answer from where they're seated. The reason for that is... You can't. Okay, cool. All right, that's fine. President, you will advise us in terms of how you will spread the questions, because you are all leaders in your own right. And as the answers are being provided, especially what Mr. Magolero was just saying now, it must be clear that Santaco did not also own up to the incident as being understood to have happened or being done by our members. That's why we've been saying criminality must be understood for what it is, and law enforcement must be allowed to do their investigations. President, I'll take a cue from you in terms of who you nominate to start first, and then you can sort of come in to close up with the first round.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the last one. Other structures, and I've said it, the Lakota resolution by government. In fact, Santaco is a body that was formed by government back then, in 2001, when the taxi violence was on top of the agenda every day. And since the establishment of Santaco in 2001, remember, a term for every office is 4 years. Mine also is 4 years. And the only thing that we've got, we did wrong is in terms of the succession plan and handing over. A new leader will come in and same problems persist. Then 4 years ends, he goes out, the new one comes in. there's no consistency, there's no, taking over. But be it as it may, let's define a council and apex body compared to, you've got your Salvo, top 6, what do you call it? What do you call it? Top 6 is in Soweto. You'd have of today. You've got, and then you've got Santia, you've got Gauteng, and how Santaco is structured. There's a council. You've got your regional, you've got your provincial, then you've got your national structure. It's like our organogram, and you've got executives. I'm also an executive president because I come every day to work. I'm just like I've said now, I was on leave. I had to come back because the house is on fire. There's no excuse about it. So, Santaco is an apex board. And someone, you'll go to him and say, hey, these guys are not representing us. It's always a case. But here's the matter. As media, if Santaco was quiet, what were you going to say if I say they don't belong to me? It's an apex board. That's why I'm here. Regardless of either it's top 6, I've got meetings with top 6. But I couldn't even say, let me go and talk to these guys first. But the house is on fire. I address the issue, then we'll consult after, because the perception might get out of control. Communities are angry with us, so the apex body is representing all taxi formations in South Africa. And the formation of Santaco, NTA was part of the formation of Santaco. And we are brothers with NTA. Let's not have another scenario when we get out of this meeting, there's another interview saying, no, NTA said, no, we don't deny, we know NTA. They are part of us, they are my friends. We go to dinner with them. We are going to clubs together with NTA. We are like one big industry. So because government is saying taxi industry must be united as one, that's exactly what we are doing. It might be difficult somewhere. I mean, it's my first time, so I'm 3 years. Maybe SAB, my sister, you remember that after my elections, how many talks from Sunseed. It took us 2 years. We even went to court for us to get that right. So in other words, I had 2 years left to correct the ills of 20 years. Now, here comes Soweto, and not only Soweto. And I agree, this thing has been happening. Why now? Is because the time is now, and we have to do it now. That's the unfortunate part, that me and Anami getting it was never handed over to me like there's a problem in Soweto. But I know, as a Gautenga, that there were challenges in Soweto. Now, because the questions and the concerns from the media side is that, let me talk about who sanctions Amapatrol. Amapatrollers, you see that sign there, the Tokomela. Again, the Tokomela is carrying. Ama squad, the purpose is to Tokomela, not to intimidate. They must make sure ukuthi imoto zethu zihamba kahle. Ama customers wethu are right. If taxis are coming from other provinces, you are lost, you can go to Tokomela and ask for direction. In this instance, our drivers themselves, they can not even go to that side. Because why? PR exercise was left, and people, they don't even know who Santaco is. Sometimes I got to a meeting and asked our own members, full like you are, and asked, do you know who Santaco is? Some, they don't have answers. So we started doing workshops. I think we started with provincial leadership, and from provinces we are going to regions to workshop and also bring up that founding document to say this is where Santaco comes, this is where we must be. So now, patrollers, yes, government and Santaco agreed. The Tokomela was a program that was supported by the National Department of Transport. We are working, that's a collaboration. This is our vehicle to work with SAPS, Metro Police and whoever. We are using Tokomela as a vehicle in terms of safety, which we've not achieved as yet in that regard. We are in talks with Toyota. We are in agreement. Toyota is because we don't have the capacity in terms of support for vehicles. Toyota is going to give us vehicles now to start printing them. And as much as you see Soweto, you will see a lot of cars coming in as a platform to address things like what is happening in Soweto. So Intimidation and fear, and I've said it, that, look, this intimidation, it also points back to us. And when I'm saying communities must not use private cars and intimidating them in some malls, and this was a problem from national, provincial government to say when they develop a plan for a development in a particular area, they don't consult transport. They just do it. Mall of Africa is one example. You remember, this was not even the e-hailing, was taxi to taxi. People died there. And we said to the malls, we even consulted the airport and main lane. You see there's a rank now. We said, no, do separate entrances. This side, it must be minibus, the other side, don't mix them, because that is the remedy for a conflict, of course. And some malls are doing that. There's an entrance where you go. I've seen in those that are normally connecting in Dubai, or you've visited Dubai Mall, when you want what do you call the Uber, there's a separate, even there's a sitting arrangement where you sit and wait, and there's a door, cars are coming here, picking up. And then you've got another mode that is using another platform. We cannot share platform, because we know that sharing a platform, they will obviously disagree. And sometimes when they disagree on a price, and sometimes they will tell you in South Africa, they will say, no, foreign apps. And there was this one that was started by Gauteng called Shesha. And then after the Shesha, and they went to Utembisa, Babetabato, they forced people into Shesha cars. We said, but you can't do this. Market it correctly. Competition is right. Let's do it the right way. So now, to the question of why now, is that the time is now. It cannot go past this generation. Else we must kiss this industry goodbye. I said even to Ndade, what we are calling, to my colleagues NTS, when are we going to be united? When this industry is no more. We cannot always react. We need to be proactive. So this, unfortunately, the matter is we are on the move to correct our ills and making sure that there's clear understanding from our communities. This is what is happening. And sometimes, yes, we are quite, I agree, we don't go out to communities. I'll cite an example, Madam, and media partners, that, look, in other areas, I'll give an example. I think it's in Soshanguve and bad as it is, and in Oliver Notbosch, when there are funerals, taxis are giving out transport for free to the communities. They're giving out. So even the communities are aware. When there's a funeral, they come and report. The taxis takes out certain number of taxis. How they do it, I don't know. But they do provide free transport for funerals. So we know these things because we are in South Africa. So intimidation, Madam, allegation in certain areas of intimidation and bullying and fines that are not accounted for. There's no squad vehicle, I need this one to be recorded there, that is given permission to collect cash or fine or impound. It's not us. If they're doing it on their own. I still remember I took the chairperson of the Eastern Cape to task, a big bus, 65, ferrying churchgoers. They were going MGT somewhere there, full, 65, Abo Ma'am. They came with rifles, they took money, and I was called because some of the church members knows me. I confronted them to say, no, guys, it can't be. I said, chairperson, you have to pay back that money. The chairperson organized and paid that money back to the churchgoers. He said, follow them, go and give it. You go there, I'll connect you. I connected him and say, speak to this guy, and you go and give them the money back. So some are taking chances on extortion. You know it's brought, and sometimes you touch it, it can even kill you. So we are careful on this, and some of my colleagues are saying some of these faceless people are very dangerous, and it's for law enforcement to assist us to get to that level. We can't go on our own because we can say tomorrow, let's go and avenge in Soweto. They will arrest us early in the morning. That is criminal to do mob justice or to do whatever that you think is a revenge. We can't do that. Only law enforcement can help us achieve that. And only law enforcement can assist us to get rid of these criminals. The challenge, and I need to be frank, like it's my last day. Some of the police, they've got this cars. This frustration is caused because some of the law enforcers are part of the problem. It's an honest fact, like it's my last day. They are part of the problem. So when you talk law enforcement, you are talking about sending someone to solve the problem that he's part of. So do you think you can arrest yourself? So these are challenges that we are coming across. You look at, you report, no report that is coming to us. But there are cases where someone was shot, killed, where there's no camera, a week, and someone is arrested. Why in our case is not happening? No camera. Yeah, Mapoja is worse below that's the CCV. Why in these cases that they exceed, no one is arrested? Why? Nati to media partners with. This is troubling us because we don't know why people are not arrested. Well, you know it's better to be arrested and get bail and utole or no, there's no evidence, it's fine. But someone must be arrested. Or you were there, there's evidence or no evidence. Someone must be arrested. We cannot always have excuses as if there's no law enforcement in South Africa. There's law enforcement and they know exactly their duties. They've got intelligent people that can investigate cases and arrest. And they can even say on media, we are going to arrest. They arrest DJ somebody. They've arrested. How many taxi killings has happened? How many? And we've got a scenario where some, not that they are doing bad all. There are people that are saving lives, that are arrested in terms of the taxi-related killings. But you've got what you call control from prisons. That's why there's faceless, because how do you deal with me when I'm in prison, then I'm controlling the outside world? These are some of the things that I have to talk openly to the media platforms, that these are challenges that, as much as we are saying the taxi industry from long, I don't want to count how many people were killed by the taxi industry itself. Self-hatred. We cannot continue. So the timing, yes, I agree, media. Why now? Because the time is now. And unfortunately, I'm saying not in this generation. We cannot close this generation. I'm going to elections next year. Maybe if I come back, I come. If I don't come back, this thing must stop now. So we've got now, I'm not even talking about, I'm not interested in what you call campaigning. I'm talking about the problem at hand, that it needs to stop now. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Babshange, can I ask you to come answer to how far we are with the digital impempe? Okay. I will introduce members of the media, the Secretary of SAMTIA, whom I acknowledged earlier, Mr. Eugene Wejana, to please come to the fore to give a response in relation to how far we are with the digital impempe. Please come through, sir.
President, national leadership, colleagues, all protocols observed. Mine is to answer a very direct question, not to overshadow what the President and the leadership have accounted for today. In terms of the question regarding the digital impempe, which is essentially a community-led surveillance framework that we are working together with private sector partners, the tourism sector, because we believe that safe mobility is the bedrock of freedom. It allows expression, it allows, cultural creativity to thrive. So as a country, we are saying it's time that we digitize Ubuntu. And Ubuntu means we taking responsibility for one another. From law enforcement, we are saying we want to be the eyes and ears of law enforcement. To the communities, our partners, which are the commuters, as well as the drivers that ferry the communities, we say now is the time for us to provide the digital tools to make sure that Operation Tlokomela and all other initiatives that look to prioritize the commuter also empower the driver, while also assuring the primary investor, which is the black business owner, which is the operator, our members, that it is essentially possible to create a society which we can all thrive, not just survive. survival is the language of the jungle. We refuse to believe that South Africa is a jungle. And that is why we came up with the initiatives that we have came up with, such as Operation Tlhokomela, the digital Impempe solution, which is something that comes from past times. As you would know, during winter when the sun doesn't come up readily, we used to have a whistle. I myself come from a rural village. And whenever I travel to school in the AMs, we used to have a whistle. That whistle worked together with the industry. When I came from extramural activities, you go to the taxi rank, I always felt safer and closer to the taxi rank. The industry, taxi drivers itself used to represent sanity, reliability, safety. But right now, because there's a disconnect between different economic sector, different interests, we are a highly politicized nation and we forgot to count on each other. And that is why the digital Impempe solution has been brought to the fore. But in terms of deployment, we will be ready to deploy and launch our mobility safety and interoperability framework because we believe in an integrated mobility solution. We will be able to launch that at the end of Transport Month, the 30th of October, at the University of Johannesburg, where we will be addressing student mobility and how best to integrate the future within the designing of the future or the present that we live in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ngwechana. In the interest of time, I understand, colleagues, there are some questions I saw the PRO still talking to the President that may need further clarity and understanding. So, PRO, I'm going to ask that you lead the next set. So before you come in, I'm going to take the next set of questions and then the PRO will lead us in that particular regard. By show of hands, please. Mfanelo, I've noted you. My brother, I've noted you. Are you fine? Mr. Magulego, a follow-up? Yes. Okay, Ngobi, let's start with him because you're closer.
Yeah, man, I forgot one question. Previously, you were trying to push the government to give you a subsidies. That's still on the agenda. You're still trying to get it. And to what extent can it help? Because this is purported to be competition for business.
Thank you. Let's go to the back there where the camera operators are. Do you have a question? Okay, let's take it. Sorry, I didn't know.
Okay, thanks very much. My name is Cliff. I'm from Chakranda FM News. Maybe we should get clarity. Are you taking responsibility for the attack at Maponya Mall? Because you say you're going to help the family and you apologize to the community. Is this part of you taking responsibility? Thank you.
Thanks, Cliff. Let's go to the back. I've noted you, Griselda. I'll come back. You did hear when I said, because I understand one part of your question was not answered where you were asking the specifics. Do you still have something else outside of that, or is it just to re-emphasize? Okay.
Categoric.
Cool.
Due to the assistance.
Got you.
Categoric.
Got you.
Are you taking responsibility for or not?
Got you. Sir?
Thank you so much. It's Chekwane Tladi from ENC. We all know that taxi drivers in most cases are bullying even the person that they are ferrying. So with all due respect, I just want to know the criteria that you're using as the organization to employ or to hire your taxi drivers. What are the things that you're looking for and what is the criteria? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Is it something else?
No, it's just to go back to the channels in which people can report.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The PRO has noted that. Hence, I said he will come in to fill in the gaps. Mfanelo?
Thank you, Mfanelo. I'm from Tembisa Online. Mine was just to reinforce the question from the colleague from Newsroom Africa, because I see a lot of people from Tembisa Online have been asking the channels where, who, and to contact. And also just to ask a question to the President. I think a lot of people in Tembisa and surrounding, with reference to what has happened in Soweto, they were told that there's now an agreement and coexistence. I don't know if it's coming from government or who, but there was an update that says there's been an agreement, there will be coexistence. I just want to find out is there any possibility where you can recognize each other and coexist in malls, whether Tembisa, Pechekas, and Tembisa Plaza. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mfanelo's question, if I can ask for you, Chairman Mali, to note and come back because it is within your constituency in the province of Gauteng. I'll read some of the questions online, PRO, and then I'll ask you to please come and answer. Isaac Lesole is asking, the truth is the actual frustration is caused by shrinking and dwindling profits. This is caused by an overrated sense of roots because of Ikwapa phenomenon, duplicate permits by corruption at the Department of Transport, etc. What is the organization doing about building market intelligence capabilities? PRO, can I please ask you to please first come, and then afterwards we will ask the chairman of Gauteng to also follow through.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the subsidy and to what extent do we think it can help the minibus taxi industry? The answer is a lot. Because one of the challenges that we are facing is the driving behavior of our drivers on our roads. This is informed by the compensation model that we use as taxi owners, and it's also informed by the financial situation that most taxi operators are in. You have a situation where drivers are chasing profits. It's not even now about chasing profits, it's about making sure that you raise enough money to be able to pay off your monthly installment on the vehicle and still for the driver to be able to take something home. So that is unhealthy, and it incentivizes bad driving. It incentivizes speeding, because if you speed, you are able to make more loads. If you make more loads, then you are able to meet your financial obligations in terms of the money that you are able to bring in. So having a subsidy, then you would immediately eliminate the need for that aggressive competition, where sometimes you find even your own drivers, if you've got more than one vehicle, your very same drivers are competing in an unhealthy manner amongst themselves in terms of who's able to meet the targets, who's able to bring in more money and still be able to make more money. And it gets worse when you compete with modes that are subsidized to billions of rands annually, and we get nothing. So we always feel that as the industry, we are actually subsidizing public transport, because public transport is a government responsibility, and government sets aside billions of rands to subsidize public transport. But where are those billions going if, say, 70% of the public are using unsubsidized modes? So it means that there is a disconnect between the billions that are put out by government to subsidize South Africans and the mode of transport that most South Africans are using, which is the minibus taxi industry, your e-hailing, your metered taxis. So a subsidy would help. It's something that we will continue pushing for. In fact, we are in a process of developing our own proposal to say this is how we think a subsidy regime would look like for the minibus taxi industry. And we want to be able to present that to the Department of Transport, because in the past, what we have heard is that there is commitment from government to subsidize the minibus taxi industry, but they don't know how. And we are saying there are models that we can draw from to say this is what we think subsidization for the minibus taxi industry would look like. And it would indeed go a long way towards solving some of the issues. But to also add, as much as we can say the lack of subsidy is a contributing factor, but also the industry also has to own up, because we have seen instances where associations continue to recruit members, even when the business is not growing. So when you have more operators and yet your business has been stagnant, then it means you've got this cake, but now you have to cut your slices thinner because now there's more of you. And we are saying that is also unhealthy. That is something that we have to encourage our operators to say, the primary associations, they can no longer continue just recruiting new taxi operators into the space when our traditional client base is shrinking because of the emergence of new ways of traveling. Mobility is shifting, and the minibus taxi industry is still stuck in the 80s. So we need to adapt. Adapting, it means we cannot continue taking in more people into the space. In terms of bullying and what criteria do we use to employ drivers, unfortunately, the only legal criteria that we use is whether a driver has a driver's license and a professional driving permit, which is not issued by the industry itself. It's issued by the Department of Transport, and it's vetted by SAPS. So once you've got your PRDP, we are confident that the Department of Transport knows that you are fit and proper to drive a vehicle, and SAPS has certified themselves that you do not have a criminal record, because you will not get a PRDP if you have a criminal record. But we've got no way of checking whether this individual has propensity for violent behavior, even if there's no criminal record. Because an absence of a criminal record does not automatically mean that then that person cannot commit crime. What if the person has committed crimes but has never been arrested? And you will only have a criminal record if you have been arrested, charged, and convicted. So you could be accused of having committed a series of crimes. If those cases are still pending within the justice system, you will still get your PRDP. This happened in the Western Cape when one of our drivers, Mr. Jack, we discovered via the media that he was responsible for stabbing a 7-year-old to death together with his girlfriend. We only discovered when we saw it on TV that, hang on, this is actually our driver. And when we followed up, and then we discovered that this chap has 4 pending cases, which means this is not someone we should have employed as the minibus taxi industry in the first place. But we had no way of knowing that this person has 4 cases pending against him because he had his PRDP. So, which is why we are saying, together with TITA, one of the things that we are implementing is driver registration, driver training, and accreditation, so that we don't only rely on the PRDP and the driver's license to see if this person is fit and proper to provide a public transport service or to drive our vehicles. But it's an ongoing process. One of the challenges that we have had is that most of our operators are not registered correctly for SARS. So one of the education that we need to do together with the SARS is to educate our members, check how they are registered for tax purposes, so that the registration reflects that these are minibus taxi operators. For instance, if I was a teacher, I would have been registered for SARS. But when I resign, I buy a taxi, I start operating, I do not change how I am registered. Probably it will just reflect unemployed, whereas now I should be registered as a minibus taxi operator, which means when we do that, then we are able to contribute towards the skills development levy, which will assist us so that there is more money available from TITA to train our drivers and operators, because the amount that we get is based on the percentage of our contributions to the fund. But currently, we are contributing very less to that fund. So we need to change that. That's what professionalization and formalization will help us achieve. And in terms of reporting channels, currently it varies because there is no standardized formal way of saying if you've got an issue, this is how you report. Generally, when you have had an issue, communities, they know to go to the nearest taxi rank office and they report there if they've got an issue with a driver or these patrollers. But the challenge that we are picking up is that sometimes when they go to these primary associations offices, instead of being assisted, sometimes they are further victimized. So now they are intimidated, so that now they don't communities now don't have confidence in those primary associations to say, if there's an issue, I can go and report at the association and the executives there will take action. So one of the things that we are saying we should be implementing is where we have got control rooms and we make it a requirement for all our vehicles to have a number that is easily memorable to commuters. This does not have to be a telephone number. This could be a USSD code. We've implemented, we've piloted this in the Western Cape through a program called Blue Dot, where there was universal branding and there were unique codes for each vehicle. And that unique code was linked to the driver, the operating license, the owner of the vehicle, and the association under which the vehicle belongs. So it was easy for other road users, even if the driver is driving badly, it was easy for other road users to actually use the code that is at the back of the vehicle and say, vehicle H111 is driving like this, and instantly at our control rooms we'll be able to get feedback, and then we'll be able to know that this vehicle belongs to so-and-so. It operates on this route. And through technology, you are able to even see that at this particular moment, this vehicle was on this road, it was driving at this speed. And when we link that with your digital impempe, we think we can achieve a lot in terms of holding our drivers accountable. For example, in the Western Cape now, there was a driver who stabbed another not a passenger, another road user. It was road rage, and he stabbed this individual. The only way we were able to recognize is because, fortunately, the person who shot the video was able to zoom in on the sticker that is affixed at the front of the vehicle. And using that sticker, we were able to identify the association where that vehicle operates in. And once we identified the association, we were able to identify the owner, and the owner was able to identify the driver. And as a result, we were able to contact law enforcement, and we were able to contact the owner, the chairperson of the association, and the chairperson of the association and the owner actually handed the driver over to law enforcement. As we speak, the driver is still in jail. So, but it had to take that video circulating on social media for it to get to us. And then when we got to it, the incident was 3 weeks old. We did not get it instantly. We relied on TikTok to see there is this video trending. And then we looked and then we followed up. So we are saying if there is universal branding with easy codes, then it makes our lives easy. But most importantly, we need to have a control room president where when people don't get joy at the associations where they are supposed to report, then they are able to report directly to us. This is where we think a collaboration between us, the Department of Transport, and law enforcement agencies, because they do have control rooms where actually this could be housed, you know. And even if it means having stickers with law enforcement's numbers on each and every vehicle that belongs to Santaco, so that even if passengers and other road users don't have to report to us, but at least they have easy access to law enforcement agencies where they are able to report. And one of the things that we have been saying is, if as a private individual, you stop a vehicle, you take the keys, you impound a vehicle, that is not impoundment. That's hijacking. It's not impoundment. When you prevent the people from going, you take them to an office, that's abduction. It's only impoundment when it's a law enforcement officer doing it. So if it's hijacking and it's abduction, why are law enforcement officers not treating it as such and deal with it as such? Because we believe that would go a long way in terms of dealing with these rogue squad cars that are intimidating people, extorting people on our roads. Coexistence, absolutely. That's why we've got Santaco as part of Santaco. And also, metered taxis and e-hailing are not necessarily competitors with minibus taxi operators. We've got distinct markets that each of these modes serve. So what should be happening is that we should be collaborating. It should be, because these modes are supposed to complement each other, not to compete with each other. Taxi operators don't compete with rail and buses, but they complement. Sometimes they provide a feeder service to rail so that you can finish your first and your last mile using a taxi, because not every train station is accessible to everyone. Taxis remain the most accessible. Again, taxis are not available 24 hours a day. There are times when you need to get from one point to another point, where even us as taxi operators, we actually use the e-hailing platforms, depending on where we want to go and at what time we want to go, and how easy would it be to use e-hailing versus your minibus taxis. So we are looking at where we complement each other. But it's not going to happen all at once, because there is still the perception sometimes from our operators where they see the e-hailing guys take as if they are taking over the work that belongs to the minibus taxi industry. Hence, we are saying the malls must have dedicated spaces so that if you are taking e-hailing, you know where to go, and if you want to use a taxi, you know where to go. In the same way that when you want to use a train, you know how to get there. When you want to take a bus, you know where the bus stop is. So we're saying the malls and the municipalities must come on board to say when there are developments, when they approve those plans, there must be a public transport plan with any development where you know there's going to be influx of people who will need transport to get there. I don't know if there's any question that I've left out. Or in terms of the are we taking responsibility? We are not saying Santaco is responsible for the death of Ubaba Mvelase. But what we are saying is it happened within the taxi industry space. We've got some tier here because the e-hailing and metered taxis are part of Santaco. So we don't define them outside of the Santaco fold. So whatever happens within the e-hailing space, it affects us because they are part of us. And because even if it turns out that actually Mr. Mvelase's killing is related to the three groupings that are there, where you've got the locals, you've got those who are from the hostels, and then you've got those who are called Nigerians. because we understand that there's frictions there. They are fragmented and it's not healthy. Even if it turns out it's one of those groupings, even those groupings, they still belong to the Santaco fold. So we are not saying we are responsible for his death, but we are saying his death happened within our space and we have to take accountability. But most importantly, the law must investigate and bring those responsible to book. But we cannot say we cannot assist, because if we are assisting, then we will be implicating ourselves. We are saying it's our space, we have to do something.
Thank you very much, PRO. Chairman Mali? Colleagues, can I just ask Mfanelo if you could just bring back that question again?
Thank you, Mfanelo from Tembisa Online. My first comment was just to reinforce a question from the colleague from Newsroom Africa to say, what are the avenues for people who are affected, whether by extortion or bullying, can be used in terms of communication and reporting that. Then finally was that, based on the recent events at Maponya Mall, we are told that there was an agreement to coexist. And I just wanted to find out if, will it then be a universal approach in other malls like Bechekas Mall, Tembisa Plaza, and Mall of Tembisa and surroundings in the townships of Gauteng? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do think and believe that in the regions of Gauteng, we've got 5 regions. For now, we have contacted our national office for the call center to be revived, so that if people, they don't get joy in our regions, our national office call center will be contacted so that it can give the instructions. But temporarily, what we were using in the regions, in terms of the Hlokomela program, we say to the public, identify the vehicles that are giving challenges on the road as per region. If you found that those vehicles are branded name of an association, it becomes easily to go and report into the associations. Hence, in the associations, we are having the people who are responsible for the operations. We are having the disciplinary committees. We are having the grievance committees within the associations of the executives. So therefore, with those processes for now, it is helping. People are phoning in even the province, then we get the matter, and then we refer to the region that is relevant. So that it helps for now to resolve. But what the president has said earlier on, there are those who you can't identify, those who are extortionists within our sector, because they are using vehicles that are not branded as the patrollers. And our patrol vehicles, all of them, they've got the names of the associations, so that you can identify. So we are also, as an industry, facing the third force within us. But now coming to the agreements, I think it will vary from one region to another, from one association, from one mall to another mall. Because remember, when you get to an agreement, there are a number of issues that should be considered in terms of the operations, from which area to which areas. Remember, those operations are not the same from one region to another, but it depends on the communication that is communicated to the public and to the other modes of transport that in the space. But most importantly, if there are issues raised, even beyond the associations, we've got the regional leaderships in the regions, that we do have the people who are dealing with the operations as well. They can be reported to the region's office so that they can assist as well to resolve the issues that the public is facing. Most importantly, I do believe if we had Mukwanas here in Gauteng, most of these issues, they could have been resolved a long time ago. Because we are reporting as the structures that we are facing challenges in our regions, in our province. There are conflicts that are there. One media member said earlier on, they are part of us. Those who are not part of us, they'll create a problem for us. Not to operate freely, that the commuters not to have their peace of mind in using their transport from point A to point B, which means even the law enforcement system needs to be looked into because it creates or it allows the criminal elements to do as they wish with the industry. So therefore, hence I'm saying that we need that collaboration with the law enforcement agencies and a commitment from the side of the law enforcement to say they want to assist and resolve the issues that are facing the industry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I think, okay, what happened? I think we'll all agree, colleagues, we've been here for quite some time. I understand some of you may want to request one-on-one engagements. This brings us to the end of our press briefing. PRO, I believe you are quite settled as well. You were supposed to come and do the closing, but you're happy. Okay. This brings us to the end of our press briefing. Colleagues, we will now close off officially and start doing the one-on-ones. Thank you very much to the members of the media for coming to help us disseminate Santaco's position. Thank you.